You're in a good place now. You are listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Today is a very special day. It's a very interesting day for many of us. Some of us are delighted. Some of us are sad. Some of us are hopeful, and some of us are begging that it can't get any worse. It's interesting when we look back at our entire year. We look back at an entire year and we think about things. The good, the bad, the indifferent. We think about the major changes that took place in our life, the good things, the bad things, the things that we would like to erase from the history, the things that we know we can't erase, but also the things that we are grateful for having. We realize that some things that took place, well, were difficult, trying times, situations and circumstances that we couldn't foresee. There were things that we knew were going to come down the pike this year that we had to deal with, and there were things that came out of left field, both good and bad. And the way we look at it is so important. And this is a new year. Today is the beginning of a new year that you have the ability to change, to create, to co-create, to do everything you want to do. And it's a blank slate. It's a new book, a new chapter, really, in your life. And it's time to realize the value of this new chapter. Tonight, I want to talk about the new year, what's in store for us, what's ahead of us, what we have to look at. And I want to talk about New Year's resolutions as well. I want to talk about New Year's resolutions as well because I find them, when used properly, I find them helpful, therapeutic, life-changing, really. But when we don't use them properly, we have a tendency of getting upset and angry and disenchanted with what we haven't been able to accomplish. We find the fault within ourselves. We find the fault within our ability to commit to something, and we inevitably stop doing whatever that New Year's resolution was, and then we get angry and we get down on ourselves and we do whatever that resolution was. We do the opposite of it, and we do it more and more. A good example is somebody that decides to resolve to quit smoking and quit drinking in the same sentence. That's a tough one. I mean, we realize that some of these resolutions are major life changing. And if you're ready for this major life change, we have to realize that we have to take it one at a time. And these resolutions really cannot be taken lightly. And the reason why I say that they can't be taken lightly is that it's a declaration, really. It's a declaration of something you want to do, that you want to change in your life. And a lot of times these declarations come because we have hit the wall, really, or it's been the last straw, or whatever euphemism or metaphor you want to use. But you know what I'm saying? It's at that point where you say, either I need to make a change or I don't, but I know if I make this change, it's probably going to be better for me. I've had several clients come into my office this December talking about losing weight and them saying, they know they need to lose about 30 pounds to be healthy, to be considered healthy. And maybe that might help their cholesterol, that'll help their body mass index, that'll help them be able to move around and to get around better. And those are things that we can't take lightly, but we have to make a resolution that we can implement properly, where we don't get down on ourselves, get disgruntled, and eventually what? Well, we don't do it. We don't do it. And I don't want to see that happen to you this year, because I know in my heart of hearts that 2017, if you allow it to be, will be the very, very, very best year you've ever had yet. It'll be the best year you've ever had yet. And a little bit of history right now, because I think a lot of us don't know it. I didn't really know it until I started doing some investigation. the history of the New Year's resolution. Do you know that it goes back to the ancient Babylonians? The ancient Babylonians are said to have been the first people to make New Year's resolutions about 4,000 years ago. They were also the first people to hold recorded celebrations in honor of the new year. And that's interesting because think about it. I mean, that's kind of neat. This goes back over 4,000 years ago with the Babylonians creating New Year's resolutions. And I think that's neat. So this is historic. This has historically been happening for a very long period of time. This is something that many civilizations, many lifetimes have gone through, and we're doing it today. So let's think about that. We're in a new year. We have the chance. We have a blank slate. We have the ability to do whatever we want to do this year. What is in your mind? What do you want to do? What are some of the most important things that you can think about that you want to do this year that's going to change your life forever? What are some of those things that you can think about right now, that you can do right now, that you can begin to think about, that you can write down, that you can journal, that you can imagine, that you can see with your mind's eye? What are the things that you want to do? Where is a place that you want to get to? What are some of the things that you want to accomplish that wasn't able to happen this year? Think about it. What are some of those things that we can do right now? And I believe that if you're thinking about doing a resolution, and a resolution is something that's on your mind, then you need to do it. On the other hand, if you're not really thinking about one, and there's not really one at the top of, in the forefront of your mind, really, then I don't really suggest that you have to find one. It could be two reasons why you haven't thought of it. First reason is you don't really want to push yourself that hard. The second reason is maybe you're doing things right. Maybe you're doing things right and you got to just stay the course. Is there something that you can resolve to stay the course or to implement more in this year? When I think about resolutions and when I think about choosing a proper resolution that makes sense to me and seems to, I don't know, just connect with what I need, I know that the resolution needs to be necessary. I know it needs to be necessary. It needs to be life-changing. And it also does not need to be easy, but it can't be impossible. And those are the three criteria that I have for a New Year's resolution. It has to meet all of those objections. It's got to be necessary to your life. It's got to be life-changing in a positive way. And it can't be easy that you can do it overnight, but it can't be difficult to the point of impossible where you want to give up. And I've come up with my New Year's resolution, and I'll talk about it when we come back from break later on after this segment, because I figured out something that I need to do, and it's something that doesn't come second nature to me. And that's what's so difficult. There's a lot of people out there that have some really amazing talents and skills. And some of us, we didn't get those talents and skills when we were born into this world. We were born to parents, at least one side of my parenting, my father, who is very similar to me and has some of the same issues, if not worse. And then my mother, who is the exact opposite extreme. I don't know. I don't understand. I didn't get her genetics. I didn't get those genetics. And it's very hard to make certain changes in my life that I'd like to make. And we'll be talking about that later on, because I think resolutions directly relate to the things that we don't do that well, or the things that we need to change about our life to make our life better, or the things that are getting in the way of us living our what? Our true life. I mean, what's getting in the way of you living your true life? Because in order to live your true life, you have to be what? Honest with yourself. No matter if it hurts or not, right? You got to be able to see the issues and flaws and be able to either correct or accept, right? You have to be honest with yourself, but you got to be authentic and real and not care what other people think. I know it's hard, but once you get there, it's a whole different world. It's like standing on the top of a mountain, looking down and seeing everybody below and being able to understand where they're at because you've been there, and you're not a jerk about it because you're an authentic person, and so you are empathetic and understand where they are. But yet all of a sudden you've risen up to where you need to be, which everybody needs to be. And guess what? When you accept yourself for all your flaws and everything, other people accept you too, because you don't go around trying to hide them. You don't go around trying to hide your personality. You let it shine. But a lot of times we allow things in our life that take away from us. They diminish us. They take our shine and they dull it. Stay tuned. I'll be talking more about how we can create the most amazing, life-changing, lasting resolutions when I return from break. Live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. We'll be back this time. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
Turn it up and jump in the deep end on Perspectives. Now, here's Ashley.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. It is the first day. It is a big deal right now. It's the beginning of a new chapter in your life. This is the beginning of something great if you allow it to be. It's the time. It's your season. It is the time, and it is the season for you to be absolutely amazing. And I have this amazing theory and thought in my mind that this is going to be the best year you've ever had yet. I'm betting on it being my best year. Don't you always want your best year to be ahead of you? Not in the past, not behind you. I don't want to be looking back and saying, well, looks like 2012 was my best year. That just sucks. You know, I mean, I feel like I played, high school football, and I always wanted to play football. And that's the kind of things that really wreck someone's life when they can't get past a part in their life to create new memories because they miss something so much. Because they feel like their best lives and years are gone. And I don't want you to feel that way. You don't deserve to feel that way. You deserve to begin to go, man, you know what? You're right, Ashley. I got a new lease on life. I'm feeling really great. But how do we get that new lease on life? Because it's not all ice cream, popsicles, and, I don't know, chocolate peanut M&Ms. Life's not like that. It's not all cotton candy and unicorns and Miller Lite and, Cowboys football. It's about changing our own lives. And what do we do to make those changes, and how do we do it? And one of the biggest things that we can do is resolve to make a change in our life that we know will help us in so many ways attain the greatness that we somewhere in our minds know that we have. I know most of us, we basically, we don't talk up about ourselves. We're, very thoughtful, people, but yet, sometimes you got to sit there and think, what's the best thing for me, and what can I do to better myself, and can I get there? And yes, I can get there, but what is holding me back? What are the things in my life right now that's holding me back that if I don't change it, I might not get to that next level. I might not go to that next level that I know that I can. That I know that in my heart of hearts, I can get there because I've seen glimpses of it. Perhaps you've had dreams of it. Perhaps you've had some really neat things happen in sequential order that looks pretty awesome. Perhaps you've been working really hard on something for a very long time and paying your dues, and now you're realizing that things are coming to fruition. However slowly it might feel, it's still happening. And what can you do this year to make that stuff happen, to bring it closer to you? What can you do right now? And what are some of the things that you can eliminate from your life or change from your life that are aiding and abetting in you not getting there as soon as you'd like? I was talking earlier about the Babylonians. They were the first recorded folks that started doing New Year's resolutions. They were also first recorded folks that started doing New Year's parties, New Year's Eve parties. Yeah, they were a partying civilization, I tell you, the Babylonians, I don't remember a lifetime with them, but from all my readings and stuff, it seems pretty interesting. About 4,000 years ago, they were pondering just like we are right now. What is my New Year's resolution this year? And I'm going to take that as a question from you, from my listeners, because I know that you would like to know what my resolution is, right? Because people can talk about it all doggone day. Oh, well, this is what resolutions are, and this is what you should be doing with your own life, and, I'm better than everybody, and, my poop doesn't stink, and I'm just going to do my own thing, and y'all just figure out your mundane lives. Well, that's not the way I operate. I have a life, too, and I have a life that needs changes as well. My life is not perfect. It is not perfect. I hate to say it, but I don't think anybody has a perfect life. I haven't seen one yet. And for most of us, even if we did have the perfect life, we wouldn't realize it anyway, because we always throw shade on our own selves. Okay, so this is what my resolution is this year. Contrary to what some of you have believed, not what you've been told, I don't lie. Especially about personal growth and stuff. This is stuff that, it's just out there. I throw it on the table. I say it how it is. I talk about reality. And you know what? You probably either connect or you don't connect. But I think some of you are going to totally connect with what I'm resolving to change. Okay. Hear ye. Hear ye. Ashley Burgess is resolving, as of today, I resolve to begin to stop collecting things that I don't need. To stop being a, quote, pack rat, end quote. To go through my storage facility. Okay, I have two. I'm going to just come clean. And they're not big. Okay, don't go crazy. Okay, I'm not making light of anybody that deals with somebody that is in a hoarding state. I am not there. But you know what? I don't want to be there. And I also realize that holding on to a lot of stuff doesn't make you happy. And so I'm going to go through, one's a tiny storage. It's like a locker kind of thing. But the other one's larger, and I'm going to begin to go through that, recycle things, give some to charity, give some to friends, and some of it, I'll have to recycle it in the trash. And it sucks because I'm one of those kind of people that I find every chair has a home. Every lamp has a place at my home. Even though it's not true, there is not enough room. And I've recently moved my studio and my office, and I think some of you know about that. And the move has just ended. It has just ended. It ended basically a few hours ago. And there was stuff in there that I had to move back to storage, like that family had made, like a few lamps that family members had made. I don't want to throw that away, but I don't have a place for it. There was an old chair that I used, my therapy chair that I sat in when people would come and, at the old office for hour or 90-minute sessions, which they do now at the new office, which is great. But it was funny when I looked at that chair finally, it's like the leather had been all kind of worn off, and it just looked like I was like the stressed out therapist sitting in the chair. And I feel bad because the chair, yes, it needs help, but yet I don't want to throw it away. But I've realized that my inability to throw things away, recycle them, give them away, is getting in the way of some of my happiness. And I think it takes over a lot of your brain share, to be quite honest with you, because I'm always stressed out about organizing. I'm stressed out about organizing my home, my office, the storage facility, all those kind of things. And it scares me because I have this stuff. What do I do with it? And I know I have a problem. Okay, I know that. That's a good thing, right? The first thing is to resolve the fact that you have a problem. Hi, Ashley. You walk into I'm pack rat therapy, and you walk in in AA, and you go, hi, my name is Ashley, and I have a tendency of being a pack rat, and I'm here to get over these problems in my life. And everybody looks back and goes, hi, Ashley. Okay, some of us have been in that position before. You know what I'm talking about? but I'm ready now. I'm ready now. And most of the times the problems in our lives started and stemmed from somewhere in our life. And that's why we kind of went down that slippery slope, right? And that's why we got to the point of where we are. And I want to tell you the backstory. Well, there's kind of two backstories. One is the genetic backstory, because that needs to be told, okay? Because this came from my parent. This came as a genetic predisposition. And I want to talk about something that I did in my past that was a personal backstory that basically boomeranged into creating said problem at the level that it's at. Because when you go through this process, and you're going to have this probably in your life too, we got to where we are because of historical reasons. It could be genetic, they could be learned, environmental, just the way our brain works, okay? And I'm talking about, think about it, that applies to almost everything. That can apply to being a pack rat, to being alcoholic. That can apply to somebody that has low self-esteem, that doesn't want to put themselves out there and scared to. And because they're scared to, they can't get the right job, can't get the right breaks in life because they're too scared to stand up for themselves. You see what I'm saying? All this connects. So I'm not just saying that this is the show for pack rats. This is the show for anybody that has something in their way of them achieving great success and they know it. And you know what? When you're ready to make the resolution and it's time, you feel it, you know it. It's like when you have to have a surgery. And you put it off and you put it off because you don't want to deal with it. And eventually that day comes when the writing's so on the wall that you call the surgeon and beg them to do the surgery tomorrow, which they can't, but they schedule it 2 weeks out and you sit there and say, why did I wait so long? That's what we're doing here tonight. And it could be a very small resolution or it could be something very big. Check out the website, ashleyburgess.com, ashleyberges.com. Also, I'd love it if you checked out my latest TED Talk. You can go to YouTube, type in Ashley, Berges, and you'll see my recent TED Talk on overcoming adversity and getting right in your life and living true to you. Stay tuned because Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time. I'll be back this time in 2 shakes.
This is Jake Busey, and you're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Welcome back live to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight I'm talking about this blank slate, this new season, this new year, this new opportunity, this amazing opportunity that you have to live, that you have to take, that you can take it by the baton and run with it like chariots of fire. It's up to you. It's your chance. It's your glory. It's your awesomeness. Are you ready to take the challenge? I am, because I want 2017 to be the best year ever. I don't want the last years to be the best year ever. I want to be this year the best year ever. And after that, the next year and the next year and the next year. I want to keep getting better than I was yesterday. And how do we do that? How do I get better than I was yesterday? Well, I make better choices. I make changes to my current situation to better my life. I do things that better my situation. I do the things that are right in my life. I create opportunity. I look at things in a different perspective and realize that when I change my perspective, I might see something that I used to see as something holding me back. Instead, is not holding me back anymore. It's an opportunity that's kind of hidden. That if I take that right with that opportunity, I can take my life to the next level. And, I think we can see a resolution either as a painful process or an opportunity. How are you willing to see making a New Year's resolution? I mean, the Babylonians used to make New Year's resolutions. I mean, is it not good enough for you? I mean, for 4,000 years ago, they were making them. There's something to it. I mean, come on. And I think we have to look at it from this respect, is that it's just a timeline. It's giving you a date to begin it that is very striking. It's very, you're going to remember what date you started this on. And it's going to be life-changing. And the biggest thing about the resolution, like I was saying, my 3 criteria for making a resolution is that the resolution has to be necessary for your life, right? Because otherwise, I mean, come on, it's got to be necessary. Otherwise, it's not worth resolving to do. Okay, you can make small little life changes that don't have to be a resolution. Like, I resolve to sit down and eat instead of stand at the counter. That's not that big of a deal. Resolutions should be things like, hey, I resolve to not be a pack rat anymore and organize my stuff and, have no storage units anymore and, deal with that. Or I resolve that I'm going to stop drinking this year because it's not benefiting me, because it's getting in the way of my success, because you're staying up all night, whatever that is. A resolution needs to be something that's big. A resolution, like, I resolve that I'm going to take the leap of faith and I'm going to go back to school because I've always wanted to do this, or whatever. Or I resolve that this year, I've been putting off having a child and I want to have a kiddo. And even though I'm big career based, I want to have a kiddo. See, think of all these resolutions you could have. I resolve to get this job, or I resolve to move here, or I resolve to change this about myself, or I resolve to have, a higher self-worth based on this or that. These are big things that need to have a resolve because they are powerful statements. And with a powerful statement, you need to have a powerful thing behind you that propels you to do something. And so it needs to be necessary. It needs to be life-changing in a positive way. And it can't be easy, but it cannot be impossible. If it's too easy, that's too easy. If it's impossible, that sucks. Because then you stack the cards against you. You stack the deck against you. And what's going to happen? Negativity, anger, resentment, sadness about what you haven't done. Basically feeling like a piece of crap about what you can't do. No, we don't want to do that. We don't want to set you up for failure. We're trying to help you, not hurt you. And that's what matters here. So let's think about what is necessary, life-changing, and not easy but not impossible. And I want to talk about my choice for New Year's resolutions. Yes, I'm a pack rat. I've been a pack rat for a very long time, and I'm coming out on national radio to tell you this. I'm being honest. And I would like a support system, too. If any of you are pack rats, please go to my website, ashleyberges.com. ashleyberges.com. Click on that contact page. Send me a letter. Tell me what your resolution is and what you're going through. If you're a fellow pack rat, tell me some of the things that you're doing to make changes. I want to hear from you. I want to know what you're doing in your resolution, because I'll be talking about that on an upcoming show. So let me tell you a little bit about how I became a pack rat, because this involves everybody. Everything that we're doing to excess, there's a reason that we're doing it. And the reason why we're doing it, well, probably comes from sort of historical ramification or something that we've done. So, first off, genetic backstory. My parents, mostly my father. My mother is completely organized. She's one of those kind of people that even every closet in her house is organized. It's unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. I did not get any of those genetics, period. In the story, I have looked for those in my DNA double helix. There is none of those genetic predisposition. Apparently, I got all of my father's genes when it comes to that. My father. When I was a child, I remember very young age, I would say 4 years old, 5, I recognized that my dad put everything, especially papers and magazines, in piles. And these piles were around his lazy boy recliner in the living room and his table. So he had this table next to his recliner with a lamp, and it was, sitting, I would say 12, 15 feet in front of the TV, and he would pile up his papers and work for work, and then the magazines that he would read. And he was one of those folks that would take a magazine from about anywhere. He would take magazines from airlines, waiting rooms, the magazines that he ordered. I think my dad ordered like 10 magazines a month. Like everything from the National Geographic to Travel and Leisure, all of these magazines. And it's funny because he would read a lot of the articles, but some of the articles he wouldn't read. Instead of reading the article, he would pull the article out, tear the article out, and then put the magazine in another pile, and then put the article in a different pile. And the article piles that he hadn't read were so tall and so high over a period of time, he would just create more and more piles. And I remember going into his office one time, and he probably had like 14 or 15 current piles going on the floor. And there would be piles for tax stuff, and piles for bills, and piles for articles that they hadn't read, and piles for this, and piles for that. Okay. My mother, on the other hand, was quite the opposite, but I didn't know the difference because I couldn't see anything besides the piles. The piles were a big thing in my life. Well, I don't know about you, but I believed in my heart of hearts that I would never be anything like my parents. There's no way in God's green creation that God would allow me to be anything like my parents, right? What a cruel joke. No, I'm just kidding. I love my parents. But no, the thing is that, yes, I became this pack rat. I became this certifiable, doctorate-bearing pack rat. I could have done a dissertation on pack rat, and it's not really a condition. But I mean, hoarding can be a condition. But I'm not a hoarder yet. Come on now. And I guess there's still a ways to go to get that PhD. No, but seriously, I didn't know a difference. And all through my high school, I was kind of unorganized. But I mean, how unorganized can you be as a kid? It's not like you can go buy a bunch of stuff and everything. But I was pretty unorganized. But everything that I had, and I remember I started kind of piling up stuff. And then, I went through college. And then right when I graduated with my first degree out of college, I went home and I had read this book on like, you're supposed to be able to carry everything you own in like one suitcase. I can't remember the name of the book. I have no idea. I don't even know if it was a book or an article, for God's sakes. Anyway, I was like, what? And it was talking about how you're addicted to your things, and the more things you have, the worse life you have. And so I went home and literally threw out 32 hefty bags of stuff. Everything. Yearbooks since my first grade. I know. Picture albums. Clothes. Shoes. Papers, everything. I threw it all away. I literally had like a suitcase of stuff left when I was done. I don't know about you, but you know what happens when you do things like that and you're not prepared for that? You run the opposite direction so far and so fast, you don't know, your head's like spinning. And so from then on out, everything I got, I kept. Because you know what? I didn't have anything. Okay? And people would ask me about my yearbooks, and I was like, I threw them away. They're like, oh my God, what's wrong with you? And so there's things that we've done in our life in extremes, and genetic predisposition, and learned responses, and environmental responses that probably co-created a lot of the things that we need to change. Are we ready to change it? When I return, I'm going to be talking about the things that we can do right now to make that resolution stick, and also talk about some of the top resolutions for this year that people are doing and see if yours falls into that category. Stay tuned, because Live Your True Life Perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess, will be back this time. In 2 shakes.
You could be my luck.
Get in here. You're listening to Perspectives with Ashley Burgess.
Safe and sound.
Welcome back to Live Your True Life Perspectives, and I'm your host, Ashley Burgess. Tonight, I'm talking about New Year's resolutions, about making this new year your best year ever. It's about making this year your best year ever, and about doing amazing stuff to make it happen, to get out of your way of success, to open those doors, to create that awesome stuff in your life that you've been waiting to do. And I want to talk about, first off, the top resolutions, and then before the end of the show, I want to give you the tips on how to make your New Year's resolution stick this year and work this year. Because if you're able to resolve it, to make it a statement and to believe in it, I want it to work for you. The top 10 resolutions this year. Number 1 is to lose weight. 2 is to travel more. 3 is to quit smoking. The fourth one is to be healthier. The thing I'm not a big fan about the lose weight one is it's so general and broad. I want to lose weight, but how much weight do I want to lose? Do I want to lose 10 pounds, 15 pounds, 20 pounds? And then why do I select that weight? Is that an arbitrary amount, or is that because I used to weigh that last year? Or is that my healthy weight per my doctor? Define it. Travel more. Define it. Quit smoking. That's a good one. That's a good one. Are you able to use any sort of nicotine inhalers or the patch or what have you to help propel that as a reality? That's a good question. Like the same thing about the losing weight. Are you going to work out? Are you going to have a dietary change? What are you going to do to make that happen? Be healthier is number 4, which I think, again, is very broad. How are you going to be healthier? Are you going to work out? Are you going to change your diet? Or, I mean, what's going on with the healthy thing? Stop eating fast food is the next one, which is a good one for those of you who are addicted to fast food and don't take the time to get food elsewhere. And so you're starving and starving and starving. And so what's left? Your few options. You pull over and you graze. If that is you, choosing that fast food to stop fast food eating is probably a good thing. So let's see. Number 6 is to quit drinking. That's the big one, to quit drinking. Are you going to have any support group with that? Are you going to go to AA? Do you have a group of people you can call on to help you with that? What are you going to do when there's a trigger? How bad is the alcohol addiction? Is it just because you want to get healthier, or is it getting in the way of everything you're doing in your life? You need to really be the judge of that and figure out what kind of support system can you implement that'll help you when something triggers you to want to drink. The next one is to stop judging people. That's a big one. And that's something that we deal with our whole life. Think about it. You probably learned that from your mom or dad, from both, or from environment. And when we change that, it's something that can change our life forever. Stop hating myself is the next one. To stop hating yourself is a really, really, really big one. To decide to love yourself, to get to that next level is so, so important. The next one is to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Number 10, to find a girlfriend or a boyfriend. And that's a big deal. If you're wanting to find someone, get into a real relationship with, and you're looking for that, that's a big resolution, because what does that mean? That means changing habits. That means going certain places. That means having that in the mind to know this is something that's really, really important to me. And this is something that I want to do. And this is something that's important that I'm going to change some of my lifestyle to make that a reality. If your resolution falls within one of those, awesome. If it's outside of those 10, even better. But it just has to be something that's very important, something that'll change your life forever, something that when implemented will help you to escalate your life into a more powerful, healthy perspective. So now that you've made that resolution and you know in your heart of hearts what's important for you to change, what are the things that you need to deal with? Now you figured that out, you come to that conclusion, you know what you have to do. I have to stop being a pack rat. I have to limit the amount of stuff that I have. I need to go through the storage facilities. I need to do all this kind of stuff to correct the problem. So first off, how do we make the resolution stick? How do we make the resolution stick? Well, the first thing we do is we believe in the day-to-day process. We have to believe in the day-to-day process because that's what's so important right now. To believe in the value of the day-to-day process is so important. When we believe in that value of the day-to-day process, we understand that some days are going to be better than others, that some days are going to be tough, that some days are going to be able to be easier, and some days we're going to be upset that we chose this resolution, while other days we're going to realize the promise that it gives. However, it's a process. It's a day-to-day process. And with any day-to-day process, you will have your ups and downs. Okay? The second thing is to know that this resolution is going to be work. It's not going to be easy breezy. Knowing that this is going to be work. Go on and assume in your mind and know this is going to be challenging. This is going to push me. It's not going to be easy. And it's something that I have to work at. But the reason why I chose this is because I want a better life for myself. Because I'm sick and tired of having what I have. Because I know that I can have a better life. And it might be something small and it might be something big, but it's up to you to resolve this and to know that this is going to be some work. And it's going to push you to the limit sometimes. But you have to step back and say, why am I doing this? I'm doing this for the greater good. I'm doing this because this is the right thing to do. The third thing that's important is to continue to remind yourself of the benefits and the reason why you chose this in the first place. Continue to remind yourself of the benefits and the reason why you chose this in the first place. Because sometimes we have bad days. And sometimes we get hit by a curveball. And we can forget the reasons why we chose to do this. We can forget it because we can be so overwhelmed with stress and anxiety that we forget. And because we forget it, we don't know what to do and we go and backtrack, right? We go and backtrack, or we find whatever we're doing as worthless, doesn't have as much worth as we thought it did. We start questioning, why did we go through all this to make this happen? This is just a lot of rigmarole to go through all this. And so you start questioning the reason for doing it, and you start questioning the value of why you're doing it and the time that you're putting into that. And I don't want you to question that. I want you to remind yourself every day. You probably need to write it down on an affirmation list, put it on your mirror in the bathroom, in the car, and say, I chose to quit drinking because of these 3 reasons. 1, whatever that is, to get my kids back, whatever. 2, to be able to wake up with no hangover and feel good. 3, whatever it is, and remind yourself daily. And last but not least, and this is something that does happen, if you fall down, get back up. It's up to you. You can do it. If you fall down, get back up. It's no big deal. It's not all lost. It's not all gone. Just get back up and start over again, because you know what? You can do it. And I believe in you, and I'm going to be doing it too. And I'm going to give you some updates on how I'm doing. I want to hear from you. Go to ashleyburgess.com, click on that contact page, and tell me how you're dealing with your resolution, some of the things that you've had to overcome, and some of the ideas and things that you've been able to implement in your life to make this resolution more easily attainable and more at the forefront every day of your life. I know that this year is going to be the best year ever so far. I know your year is going to be amazing. Check out the website, watch my latest TED Talk, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and live your true life perspectives with your host, me, Ashley Burgess. Believes in you, and we'll be back this time in 3 shakes.